All
Sure.
right. Hi, I'm Jim McHugh. This is
Hey,
Frank Santorelli from The Sopranos.
from the best damn television show that was ever on.
Man, how did that happen? How did you, coming from Boston, end up on a show? And most of it was filmed in New Jersey, am I right?
Yeah. What happened was, just from stand-up, as you know, working in New York, I was going to working at stand-up New York all the time, in the Cellar and the Strip and Catch, and I would, come to New York for auditions for everything, for commercials and you name it.
Can I take like a half-ass credit for the Boston Tea Party? Isn't that like where you met your agent or one of your agents?
Well, no, I was with Barry Katz at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was a long run. I did like 10 years with him, and then I went over to this guy who used to work for him,
Yeah.
named Vincent, and he started getting me all kinds of crazy auditions in New York. And I had a commercial agent, and I was doing commercials. I was doing McDonald's and AT&T commercials, and I was on fire. And then out of nowhere, he says to me, "Hey, there's this new show. It's called The Sopranos. Like nobody knew anything about it, and it's a TV show on HBO, and they're looking for a bartender slash bouncer. And I'm going through a tunnel. Am I going to get cut off?
Just go for it. Let's see.
Yeah." And so I auditioned for that. I auditioned for it, and television is a visual medium, Jim.
Right.
And so physically, I was perfect for it. Now, whether I can do the lines or not is a whole other thing. So I went in and I nailed it, and they laughed at me. Um, Basically, my first scene was the audition. Is me not being able to work the phone. And that's the one everybody remembers the most. It's so
Right.
weird. I was like, hello, hello, hello. And I look again off me and I go, it's a menu. It's one of those menu things. So I'm like this big stupid guy, and I
And
can't work the phone.
your purpose on the show is to set off Tony Soprano.
I am the guy that
That's your
which
character.
you're absolutely right. I'm the catalyst by which he goes into therapy.
Like he has some bigger problem, but you're the guy, the little thing that makes him explode.
That's
That
exactly
we
it.
all
Well,
have. Like
he's
you're in Boston traffic right now.
literally, you are correct, because the episode is he beats me up, and the next scene is the beginning of the second episode. He's in front of Dr. Melfi, the psychiatrist, which is what the whole show is based on.
Right.
It's a mob guy going to see a psychiatrist.
Right.
And so I'm the catalyst by which that happens.
Right. He literally looks at himself and goes, maybe I need to do something about
Exactly.
this
Exactly.
rage issue.
So anyway, when I auditioned for it, I didn't even think about it. You do so many auditions. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I was auditioning all the time.
Right.
And my manager Vincent calls me and goes, "Hey, you know that thing? You got it." I said, "I did." He goes, "Yeah, you're shooting in Jersey like next week." I go, "You're kidding me." He goes, "No." He goes, "Day player, one day, you go in, shoot it, and we'll get you a certain amount of money." And I said, "Okay." And so I went in and I shot it. And when I was done, I went to the makeup room to get my makeup taken off. And David Chase came in and said, "Take a picture of his tattoos." They put these huge tattoos on me,
Yeah.
and it took forever to put them on. And so when he said that, the makeup girl went, "That's huge. That's huge." I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, because that means you're coming on again."
Wow.
And I said, "Oh my gosh," because I was really literally only supposed to be one day.
You know why I know about those tattoos? Because you used to stay at our house when you were doing Sopranos in
That's
Queens,
right.
and
And
you
I
and you
had them.
we had a white couch, and you laid on
That's
it
right.
with your fake tattoos. So we also had a picture of your tattoos.
That's correct. Everybody, even Sister Catherine at St. Jude's was like, "Can I see your tattoos?" And I said, "Sure." My kids, I was getting them those little plastic things to put on, and
Right.
yeah. So anyway, that's how I got it. Was going to New York and auditioning for stuff all the time. I got
Right.
Law and Order with Jerry Orbach, and hey, Bernadette, what's up, baby? Bernadette. Oh,
He's singing Bernadette.
That's my favorite song in the whole world, by the way. So,
Well, and now once you get out, now what's a day like on The Sopranos? You go in there, you're like hanging out with these people, or
oh man, I would leave my house at 11 p.m. at night and drive through the night to be at the makeup table at 5 a.m. 7 hours before the shoot, which was noon,
wow,
because of how long it took the tattoos to be put on. I had a person on each arm, and it took forever because they had to be exactly the same way each time, you know. And so I had to take my shirt off, which caused audible gasps from the women there because I'm cut like stone. And I really did have a person on each arm.
oh my
And
gosh,
then so it was one day, and then I came back for the first 4 episodes of the first season.
wow,
I'm playing cards with Tony, and oh yeah. So anyway, hanging out. No, there was no. People say, "How was James Gandolfini?" I go, "Look, he was with his script. I was with him before he hit. You
right,
know what I mean? Like hanging out with him was like hanging out with Babe Ruth after that. It
right,
was unbelievable. Like people screaming his name, and you know, just
yeah,
Tony, Tony. You know, meanwhile his name is Jim,
right,
and so no, after the show exploded, he was in every scene. It was all about him, and you know there was no busted chops. I couldn't go up to him and say, "Hey, I got a joke." He was with his script. He was sequestered. I could see him, and most of my scenes, 90% of the stuff I did was with him. So we were friends. I mean, he used to sit with me and eat and stuff like that, and he would tell me and say, "Here's what we're gonna do in the next scene. You know, I'm gonna be hitting you with this with this singing fish." Yeah. And I would go, cool. You know, he's like, it's not going to hurt you. And I think we can get you stunt pay. And
oh
I said,
good,
are you kidding me? He goes, no, I'm serious. I go, okay. So, yeah, the union was all over the place, making sure that I wasn't going to get hurt
huh,
from getting hit, because I was always getting beaten up. And I would come into the Bada Bing, the real strip club,
yeah,
which is the Satin Dolls in Lodi, New Jersey. And I would come in, and the crew would screech like I was a battle with Thunderdome. You know, Georgie's here. There's gonna be blood. He's gonna get beat up. Yeah, it was crazy. And there was naked strippers all over the place. And
right,
it was decadent. So yeah, I
wow.
know. And all the while I was doing stand up.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
You know, I was doing stand up at night at the Cellar and stuff. If I got done early enough, I'd shoot into the city. And but a lot of times I put myself up in a hotel because I needed 2 days.
right,
And I would literally run across the Route 16 in Lodi, New Jersey, run across the freeway to
wow,
go to work. Yeah.
wow.
So,
Like you didn't get killed.
yeah.
But
So,
before that, I remember your biggest credit, which I thought was a huge credit at the time, was you're the elevator guy for
oh
Mark
yeah,
Maron on Comedy
that was
Central.
short attention span theater on
Yeah,
HBO, Downtown Productions.
I was so
Wasn't
impressed by
really.
that because I knew you and you were on TV, and I couldn't get my head around that.
You there?
Yeah,
I lost you there for a second.
I was like, I said I was impressed by the elevator guy because I knew you a little bit, and you were like, oh my god, this guy is. How do you get the elevator guy on short attention span theater?
That
You
was
know?
another one. That was another one. I went in and auditioned for it, and the list of people that I beat out was unbelievable. The guy that was on L.A. Law, yeah, a bunch of people that were like monster, you know, big time actors for that role, and that ran for like 2 years. Every Wednesday, I shot all day long for 2 years in New York, right in Midtown. I was an actually working television actor in New York, which was rare at
Right,
the time. The only thing that was going on was orders over on the waterfront there.
right.
And so, like me and Chris Noth were the only working male actors, and Mark Maron, who was, who was the host of that show.
You had a really funny story you told me once about William Shatner was on that show.
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to tell it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes in. First of all, I can't even believe it's him.
Right.
It's really him, and he come into the set. He wasn't kidding around. He was all business. He was pushing 2 books. He had books written called Tech, T-E-K, which was a futuristic drug, almost like a heroin cocaine mix. So he had written 2 books. He was in the new Star Trek movie with Captain Picard.
Wow.
They were both in the same episode with Malcolm McDowell.
I remember that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great, great movie.
Yeah.
And so, Jonathan Groff was the producer at that
Oh.
time.
Yeah, I love Jonathan.
He was one of the producers, and he was like, "Dude, William Shatner's coming." I go, "No way. Are you kidding me?" And so anyway, he comes in and he was striding like Captain Kirk. Remember how Captain Kirk used to walk?
Oh, yeah.
He came in and I just burst out laughing. I went right over to him like a little kid. Now I'm dressed as the elevator guy, and I walk over and I go, "Mr. Shatner, I'm a huge fan of yours." He goes, "You are rather large, aren't you?" And I towered over him. I mean, he's a little guy.
Right, right.
He's kind of short. He's not little, but he's a short guy. So anyway, I told him all about how when Star Trek came out, how much I was into it, and my dad was all over it. My dad was just an incredible Star Trek fan. And anyway, the show, I don't know if you remember, the guest would sit down in this old-fashioned chair that would be in your grandmother's living room.
Right.
It wasn't a regular chair. It was like an old-fashioned chair that was had embroidery all over it. Anyway, he's sitting there, and Mark Maron is interviewing him, and the bottom falls out of the chair. And God is my witness. It was like a sitcom. All of a sudden, boom, it popped.
Like a Vegas building exploding.
It exploded. And his knees were up to his chin. And he goes, and everyone just is in horror.
They're aghast.
He said the funniest thing, he goes, "I'm not a huge star, but I'm a really big star, and I can't believe you guys put me in this chair." And the whole place just exploded. It was a magical moment. And I have it. I have it on VHS.
Wow. Oh, you have him falling in the chair?
What's that?
You have the chair exploding incident on VHS?
I do. I really do. I have it. I have the whole episode on VHS.
Don't you wish you had the phone you have today back then, the pictures and the video you could have had from The Sopranos and from, who else did you have on Short Attention Span Theater? You had a million people, right?
Oh, they had Gary Marshall and Penny Marshall.
Oh, my God.
Let's see. Yeah, all kinds of big names. Definitely big names were on that show.
Did you ever get the feeling when you're on that show like you're not supposed to talk to people? Like, hey, elevator guy,
He said that to me. He said, "Are you a real elevator guy?" I said, "I'm in the next scene with you." He goes, "Are you a real elevator guy?" I said, No, I'm playing one in the scene with you." And he goes, "Oh, okay." Yeah, he looked at me like, "Isn't that funny? Are you a real elevator guy?" He goes like that.
Well, in Star Trek, the big joke is every time you're an elevator guy or a security guy, you're dead in the next scene.
Exactly.
Didn't Kevin Knox used to do a bit like that?
Yes.
Go down by the river.
Captain Kirk.
You used to do that funny thing where he'd say, "Go down by the river and fill up your canteen." No.
Yeah, right. No, it was always the bit goes Sulu, Captain Kirk, McCoy, Spock, and Lieutenant Sargassian.
Right.
Let's see who's gonna die. Which one of these people is gonna get eaten by the big thing?
The big space thing.
Lieutenant Sargassian. Lieutenant Smitter.
That was a great bit.
Smitter. Yeah.
Wow. Oh my.
So the very end, we're taking him back up from the vault.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh.
And I get into the elevator and I go, "Mr. Shatner, I'm a big fan of yours." And I go, "It's the captain's guts you're analyzing. Are you aware of that, Spock? Pointed-eared hobgoblin." I'm riffing. I'm just going off. I'm doing all these Star Trek lines. And he looks over at Mark Maron and he goes, "Is there any way to stop him? Could you stop him? Could you stop him from doing that?" And I'm going, "I want to live. I'm Captain Kirk. I'm the captain." You know, I'm doing all these lines with it. It was magical. Working with him was absolutely magic. Yeah. And then what's weird is he went on and became more famous than ever
I know.
after that.
I know.
Oh my God. I mean, from Boston Legal to you name it, man. He's a conglomerate, that guy.
Yeah.
He really is. He's one of the most successful television actors in history. He's had like 10 shows.
Right.
From TJ Hooker, you name it. He's done it all.
You know,
And Priceline. He's a relentless,
yeah, I think he
relentless
owns.
guy.
He took stock in that company or something.
Absolutely. He raises Arabian horses, and it's incredible. All of the stuff he's done is just awesome.
You know what's amazing about him is he kind of was cursed by the Kirk thing for like the 70s. Remember, like when that show went off the air, and he didn't want to be associated. He's like, I'm an actor. I want to act. You know.
Yes.
And then suddenly, I don't know how he turned it all. I think to me it was like he went on Saturday Night Live and he went to all the Star Trek fans. He had that sketch where he went, "Get over it."
You want to know something? You're absolutely right. He did something on Saturday Night Live that was actually groundbreaking.
Yeah.
He came on and he said, "My name is William Shatner." I'll never forget it. He goes, "My name is William Shatner, and I played a guy named Captain Kirk on a show called Star Trek. And I just want some of you to know, it's not real. I'm not really Captain Kirk." He goes, "Look at you. Living in your parents' basement. Have you ever been out with a girl? Look at you."
I remember that sketch was hilarious.
Oh, it was
and then
hilarious.
after that, suddenly started
hilarious
working.
Moment. Right.
Like, you know.
Have you ever been out with a girl? What are you doing? You're living in your parents' basement. You're 42 years old. Star Trek is not real.
It's not happening.
Right.
How about
anyway, yeah, this is great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, I love this. Is great. I do a YouTube and then it goes on. I take the audio, and because you're not swearing, we might put it on WMEX as well, and it's a podcast.
Cool.
And we do it all. You know, this is so easy to do over your phone or over the computer. And
sure.
Wahoo! How do people get a hold of Frank Santorelli? You're just getting on social media like yesterday.
Yes, I just got on Facebook, and it's incredible how much work I'm getting now.
Yeah, your daughters are like in their 20s now. They're probably like, "Hey, Dad, wake up! Wake up!"
My daughters are like, "Dad, it's hilarious to watch you try to negotiate Facebook."
You were the last. You were like one of the last of the Mohegans to get on Facebook. Like, you know.
Well, I was in the Don Gavin school where we said that the internet was a fad. That's never gonna last.
It used to, like, you were ahead of me, and like all those guys that came ahead of me, it was like if you even had a business card, it was like considered like, why do you have a business card? You're a comedian. They'll find you. They'll just give you work.
Exactly. Unreal.
How about give me a good road story? You got a good awesome gig, horrible gig?
I got one. I was in Chicago working at Zany's, and a restaurant from down the street with an Italian singer sends a guy over to Zany's and says, "Hey, will you make a personal appearance at the restaurant?" And I go, "Well, you know, I'm in between shows right now. I kind of just relaxing in between shows here." And the guy says, "Well, all we want you to do is just come on stage, just for like a minute with the singer." And I go, "You know, buddy, I'm kind of tired. You know, I got a whole nother 50 minutes I got to do." He goes, "We'll give you $100." I said, "Okay."
Suddenly you have a burst of energy.
And so anyway, they take me in a car service and bring me to this restaurant. Now I'm backstage in the wings, and this guy's on stage singing, and he's going, "Volare, whoa, cantare." Well, he's singing in real Italian.
Right.
And he's speaking broken English. I hear him stop and say something to somebody in Italian, and he speaks broken English.
Right.
So the guy backstage gives me my $100, and he goes, "He's gonna bring you out when he's done with his next song." I said, "Okay." And so I'm waiting, and he stops his song, and they applaud, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, very special guest coming out right now, and from a soprano, George.
George.
And the audience goes, and I come out on stage like this. I'm waving, and people are going, "Who is this?
Who?
Who is this guy?" He doesn't
George.
go. He doesn't go. You know, from the guy that got beat up all the time in the Bada Bing. He was in 16 episodes. He played Georgie with the big tattoos. You know, anybody that knows the show now knows who I am. This guy goes, from a soprano, George.
Almost sounds like
And the audience
Georgia.
just looks around going, who the hell is this? Who is this guy? And I wave, I come off. The guy who gave me the $100 goes, oh, I'm so sorry, man. You know, and I go, hey, don't worry about it. I was back at Zany's in like 3 minutes. I was
Right.
back to laughing, counting my $100.
You had a story out of it. Yeah, it's so funny. Like an intro shouldn't, like, you know, I'm not one of these guys that thinks it destroys your whole set, but sometimes, like, I had a guy who did a corporate gig, and he wanted to hire me as a corporate imposter, and I go, I don't do that. I don't pretend. I just bring me up as a comedian. I'm gonna do my thing. That's it. So a month later, it's a Christmas party. He's got that lectern thing. He goes up there drunk after they give out all the prizes, and people are leaving. And he goes, all right, now we got a motivational speaker, Jim McHugh, and the place leaves. It's like you couldn't have sprayed like poison in the room to get these real estate salesmen to flee the room faster.
A motivational speaker.
Jim McHugh, the guy's hammered. He's like, a motivational speaker, Jim McHugh. I'm like, oh man, could you please just have, if at this time only you could have gotten my name wrong, that would have been a favor to me.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh, it's brutal. But yeah, if you're in a regular comedy club, you know, just say anything. Just you don't even have to get my name right. Just, you know, your next act. I'll take it from there. But in those weird, like, you know, non-conventional comedy settings, they have to at least say it's a comedian. He's going to be telling you jokes. You know,
right?
And we all do it. We all take that gig. You know, it's a couple $100. You're already there.
Yes. One guy said, "What do you want me to say about you?" I said, "Tell him I was on the TV show Providence."
Right.
He goes, "Oh yeah, I love that show." I said, "Yeah, it was on a couple years ago. It was on." I said, "It wasn't a couple years ago. It was like 6 months ago. I was on the TV show Providence." And he brings me up. He goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, from Providence, please welcome Frank Santorelli." And people are like, "He's a comic from Providence, really?"
You know, the other thing you did, you were on, remember that show Vegas? I mean, you remember
Yes.
you were on like the first episode of that or something, right?
Yes, I was in the pilot of Vegas with James Caan.
Right.
You're absolutely right.
And what happened there? They took a direction change. They didn't want it to be like a mobster thing, or
I don't know what happened. All I know is they cut me out of the show after the pilot.
And
I was devastated.
I thought that was going to be it, man, because I thought, like, you were going to be a bodyguard and all this stuff. And then it seemed like I watched the show after that for a while, and I was like, then they went from like it being an old school Vegas casino to suddenly it's beautiful people.
Yes, absolutely. They decided to go in another direction, man. That's show business, you know. That's the way it is. And they yeah. Oh, that was huge. That was a huge thing. You know, I was in the pilot. I got a good chunk of money. I was going to be right-hand man to James Caan, and they just literally after the pilot, they said, "No, we're not going to go in that direction anymore." I think James Caan didn't want to be in the casino. He didn't want to be in the casino. He wanted to do other things. He wanted to, you know, be around and move.
Right.
And so they cut me out. Oh, I was devastated. Because that show ran for like 5 years.
Okay, so listen, we're going to come up on our 25-minute mark, which is the length of this. So give me where they can find you on Facebook. And this is Frank Santorelli, very funny comedian, great actor, all-around good guy who's driving in Boston traffic while doing this. So we may never see him again. All right, so so it's Facebook's the best place to find you?
Yeah, franksantorelli.com is my website. Has all my gigs.
Okay.
You go date by date and see which gigs. You know, like I'm at Kowloon this weekend. You know, as you know, nicknamed the Temple of Doom.
What can be better than Frank Santorelli and Crab Rangoon?
Yeah, and I'm at Scola's next weekend in Drake-It for
Awesome.
some benefit. It's called Scolas, and yeah, you go on the website, it'll tell you. And then, like I said, my Facebook page has a whole bunch of fun stuff on there.
Awesome. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Jimmy.